Hi class. So we are now going to start on page 2 of the IRS 1040 form. So just to recap, we completed the first page, and if I scroll back, I see that we ended up on line 15 with taxable income of 1,275. So now we need to calculate what is the tax on that amount. And to do that, we need the tax tables. So let's take a look at those. In your assignment, there is a link to the tax tables, so you'll find that there. So let's take a look at these. I'm going to scroll down a couple of pages. And on the first page here, let's take a look at this sample table up top. And here it has an example of a married couple. They're filing a joint return. Their taxable income on line 15, which is what we just looked at, is $25,300. And so what we're going to do, if the taxable income is $25,300, here's a little snippet of the table. We look for $25,300 on the table. And in the first column is if the number you're looking for is at least that number, but less than the second number. So if we're 25,300, we're actually looking at the third row because that's at least 25,300, but less than 25,350. And then because this example was for a married couple, we then go over to the married filing jointly column and find that the tax there is $2,628. So in our case, the tax was $1,275. So we're going to find that number in our tax table. So 1,275. We find that, and then in our case, we're going to go to the first column because Melissa is single, and we find that the tax is $129. So that's the number that we're going to use on our tax return. So let's go back there. All right, so we're back to our form, and we're going to enter the tax of $129 on line 16. None of those other forms apply and won't apply in your assignment. So now we're going to go down and look again. So this section is all about tax and credits. So there might be some other tax or credits in this section. First one, amount from Schedule 2, line 3. I'm going to go ahead and put a 0 there. That does not apply to Melissa, but those would be additional taxes, maybe because of self-employment, etc. Again, look at the instruction booklet if you're doing your own, but in this case, that doesn't apply. And also in the homework, I'm going to give you, for a lot of these lines, I'll tell you that if they're just zeros, I'll just give you that information so it makes it a lot easier. All right, so we add those two lines. I can do that. Then down to line 19, child tax credit or credit from other dependents. She doesn't have any of that. Amount from Schedule 3, line 8. These are some additional credits, such as foreign tax credit, retirement savings, contributions. There's a credit if you buy a plug-in electric vehicle. So a lot of special circumstances. Again, none of those apply to Melissa. So if we add lines 19 and 20, another 0, subtract line 21 from 18. Again, had 0, so there's nothing to subtract. Other taxes, including self-employment tax from Schedule 2. Again, she just had the one job, didn't do any other self-employment, other activities, and so add all those up and we're still at $129. So this is the tax that she owes. Next, we have to input how much tax did she already pay, because from her W-2, there were taxes that were taken out of her paycheck. So let's take a look and see how much those were. So we're back to the W-2. To find the federal income tax withheld, we're going to go to box number 2 here. on the W-2, and taxes withheld from her pay were $510 for federal income tax. So that's the amount that we're going to put on the 1040. So let's switch back to the 1040. So now we're in the payments section. So from the W-2, taxes withheld, which we just looked at, were $510. Next is if there were any taxes withheld on a Form 1099. 1099, again, is for self-employment, and usually taxes are not withheld in those cases, but sometimes they could be. So if so, you would enter that there. Any other forms, again, none of that applied, so we're going to add all those up. So we're still at $510. Now, a couple other things. 2022 estimated tax payments and amount applied from your 2021 return. Then we would enter that amount here. What that would apply to is if you thought you were going to owe taxes, and in some cases you have to make tax payments throughout the year. So then you would put those here. Or if in the prior year, in 2021, in this case, if you earned a tax refund, you can either take that money and have them send you a check or deposit it in your bank account, or you can say roll it over into the next tax year. Okay, that didn't apply here, so we're going to put a 0. Next up, earned income credit. That's a 0 for Melissa. That's a tax break for some low and moderate income families. Doesn't apply to Melissa. Additional child tax credit, again, doesn't apply. American Opportunity Credit doesn't apply to Melissa. It might apply to her parents. That's a credit for some college expenses. And so her parents might be able to take something there depending on the circumstances. Amount from Schedule 3, line 15. Again, nothing here that applies to Melissa. So if we add all those up, so again, we're adding lines 27 through 31, just as it says here on line 32. So pay careful attention when you're completing these as to what you're supposed to add, what you're supposed to subtract, etc. And then line 33, we're going to add line 25D, which is the 510, 26, and 32. These are your total payments, which add up to $529. So then the next sections are the refund amount or the amount you owe. And in this case, just like looking back, so for Melissa, her payments were $510, but the amount of tax that she owes is $129. So she's going to get some money back. So the next line, 34, says if line 33, $510, is more than line 24, $129, subtract 24 from 33, and this is the amount that you overpaid. And that amount would be, let's see, what, $381, if I'm doing my math correctly. So that's the amount that Melissa overpaid. Amount, and then line 35, amount of line 34 you want refunded to you. All right, well, we want the whole thing back. So I'm going to go ahead and put 381, indicating that I want a refund. And then you can choose to have your deposit, your money deposited directly in your bank account. So if that was going to be the case, you would put your routing number, your bank account number there, and indicate whether that was a savings or checking account. On your homework, you can fill that out or not, and certainly don't give me any real account numbers, but it's not needed that you fill that out for yourselves. But I do recommend that you have it direct deposited rather than getting a check. You tend to get your refund much quicker if it's direct deposited versus having a check issued. And here was that question, amount of line 34 you want applied to your 2023 estimated taxes. So again, if Melissa thought she was going to owe more taxes for some reason next year, and other than just her job, which again, they're taking out taxes, but if she had some other sort of taxable event that wouldn't have money taken out for to apply to her taxes, you might consider rolling it over. And if so, this is where you would tell the IRS, you could put 0, that you don't want any money right now and you want to apply the whole thing to next year's taxes. If you owed some money, then you would fill out this section, but she doesn't owe any money. She's getting a refund, so we're just going to leave that blank. And then, of course, sign the return. For your homework assignment, don't worry about signing. You don't have to, because again, this is just online. But otherwise, you would, if you're doing your own taxes, you would want to certainly sign that. All right, so that's the end of video 2. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Love to help.